Some things nest and wither away quietly. That's what the child thought. The sky had darkened. The fading clouds above were angry, like a train passing over the world. The treehouse was swallowed by the dark. He had built it alone, piece by piece. It had taken him a long time. Everything was done stealthily, unnoticed, while the hours crept slyly along the walls of the house. When the purplish sky surrendered to darkness, the child pulled his lighter from his pocket, rummaged through his bag for a candle, and lit it, placing it beside the bookshelf he had made from logs. The light that crowded inside was weak, sickly, coughing as it played with the shadows. He tossed an apple into his mouth. He was hungry. As he sipped his lukewarm Coca-Cola, he burped. The candlelight flickered sharply across his face. A child couldn't move when memories weighed on him. Outside, a bird flew somewhere, hearing its own voice silently, forsaken. The child stood up. The apple hadn't filled his stomach, and the cola was making noises, warning him it would upset his belly. His sandwich had to be somewhere. He scanned the room, searched, but couldn't find it. A fugitive eating his last apple on the edge of hunger. It wasn't what he'd imagined, steps following one another. The devil's whisper more pleasant. Was it the helplessness that seeped into loneliness, or the mirrors reflected in another's eyes that made him take one more step? The child sat cross-legged on the floor. Then, bored with that, he lay flat on his back against the wooden floor of the treehouse he had built. His eyes couldn't see the roof. He hadn't built one. His intention was to gaze at the loneliness of the stars shimmering and dancing in the sky. The candlelight hanging there, stubbornly ablaze, nights of light that would melt away and extinguish themselves after a very long time. No one knew their story. Perhaps no one ever would. The child wept as he lay there. Tears rolled down his cheekbones and met his hair. Shame burned his lungs. A lump sat stubbornly in his throat, like a brat who wouldn't budge. "Wipe your eyes," someone would say. Pull him up by the shoulder and lead him home. Tell him he's talking nonsense. Whisper that he always does this. Words that wouldn't leave his mind another word. Another nothingness, locked in the cage of his bookshelf with no key. The child couldn't stop crying. "So what?" he said. There were still a few stars flickering in the middle of the night. The cold winds crowding inside didn't bother him. Passengers flitting by, unaware of him. A few crows cawed, then fell silent and left. The child lay alone again on the edge of solitude, staring at the ceiling. God cries when he's alone. No one knows his tears, not even those who would die for him. The mountaintop isn't always warm and shrouded in clouds. The child thought of his mother, his father. His siblings came to mind, one by one. Even the gap-toothed girl he liked in class appeared in his thoughts. They all came to him like waves tossed somewhere in time. But the child was right here. "I'll stay here tonight," he said it to himself. He curled into his jacket. He was smart. He had brought a blanket. He threw it over himself and wiped his tears. Finally, they stopped. He thought about how to deal with hunger. Maybe he'd take a stick, sharpen the end, and hunt a rabbit or something. Or make a slingshot. He had his lighter, but sooner or later it would run out of fuel. He'd have to learn to make fire from stones. Finding clean water was crucial. He'd learned that from a documentary. Maybe he'd kill something bigger, make clothes from its hide, paint his face with its blood, and cover his treehouse with branches so no one could find it. That way, he could stay far from whatever was out there. And maybe, every night, he could be one of those wanderers who watch the stars. Warmed by his dreams, the child closed his eyes. A smile lingered on his face.